So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Weight Loss Secrets. I have to make a bit of a confession after my first one that I put up, and this is why you can tell that I'm new at this game of podcasting and posting on YouTube and things like that. That's a bit new to me. So if you watch the first Weight Loss Secrets podcast episode on YouTube and not listened to it, then you would have seen a couple of things that are a little bit funny in my eyes. The first one was that I didn't realize that my mic only records on one channel. So if you listen to it on headphones, you're only going to hear me in one ear. That might be enough for most people. Hearing me in stereo is probably not so good, but you only hear me in one ear. And then the other thing is at the end of the video, you watch me get really close up to the camera and then press the button as like an old bloke trying to figure out technology. But that's my confession from the first episode. So, but jump on and have a listen if you haven't already. But today's podcast I'm super excited about, because this is really the building block of being able to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. Because let me tell you, it is in your control. If you're listening to this right now or watching this right now and you are overweight and you feel like you're stuck and you don't know where to go, I just want you to know that it is all in your control. You have the control to make the changes in your life to get to where you want to be. And today is about debunking some of the nonsense that we're told from doctors or other people who tell you why you've gained weight sometimes and why you can't lose weight. The reality is this: everybody can lose weight. And if someone tells you an opposing view to that, they actually don't know a great deal about how food operates in our body, how it processes and what happens for us to be able to lose weight. So that's what we're really going to break down today. So I want you to think about why you have gained weight. So why have you gained weight? That's the number one question on today's podcast. So I want you to really think about it, but you've got to really be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, then this podcast is a waste of time, and everything you do is a waste of time. Because let me tell you, the amount of people who tell me nonsense stories when I speak to them on the phone is fascinating. So you're going to hear some things today that you might not agree with, and that's cool. And you might feel are a bit harsh and go against the narrative that you may have told yourself as to why you're overweight for many, many years. So, but my job here is not to pee in your pocket. It's not to make you feel better about yourself because of what you're doing right now. It's to help you to know how simple it is to lose weight, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So if sometimes it might hit a raw nerve, or it might feel a bit uncomfortable, some of the stuff that I'm saying, because I might totally disagree with what you are thinking about at the moment in the reason that you've gained the weight in the past, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'd love to be your friend, but that's not why I'm here. It's to teach you what's going to help you to get to where you want to be. So to start off with, I want you to think about all the reasons why people say you've gained weight. Because here's the deal. We don't gain weight for a variety of different reasons, really. The reason we gain weight is because what we put in our mouths. And I want to go through a few of the reasons that people have told me for why they've gained weight, because it makes them feel better about their situation. It takes their personal responsibility away, which is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is personal responsibility. But today, we're going to go through all of those reasons that people tell you you've gained weight. And really, they might have a tiny, tiny, minuscule impact, but it's really what we put in our mouths. So I've got a quote here that I want to share as I drop my phone on the ground, but that I want to share because I think it really helps us. And just before I share it though, the number one reason I hear, particularly from women, as to why they've gained weight, and I work a lot with women who are age 40 plus, is they talk to me about their hormonal changes or a thyroid issue in their body. Now, that is not the main reason that you've gained weight. Oh man, and sometimes I say that to people on the phone and they're like, oh, how dare you, you're a man. How dare you talk about my hormones? And so people can get a little bit upset at me, but the fact of the matter is this: We gain weight because of what we put in our mouths. The only way we really gain weight, and I'm not talking about tiny little fluctuations, 500 grams there, a kilo there, and a kilo off. That's not big weight gain. I'm talking about when you're gaining 10, 15 kilos. That's not because of your thyroid. That's not because of your hormonal issues. It's just simply not. It is because of what we put in our mouths. Our bodies need a certain amount of energy, which we're going to talk about on another podcast because there's just so much information, right? But our bodies need a certain amount of energy to function every day, right? And when we eat above that energy amount, then our body can't use all that energy. It's really simple stuff, and it has to store it. So it will store it as fat. When we eat below that energy amount of what our body actually needs every day, then we're in calorie deficit and we start to be able to lose weight, right? The reason that almost 70% of Australia is overweight, 70%, that's 3/4, right, of Australia is overweight, is because we eat too much. We eat too much food, we eat too much of the wrong foods, and just because food is healthy has no relevance to whether it's going to help us gain or lose weight. Some healthy food will make you gain weight just as fast as unhealthy food. So it's understanding that it's what we're putting in our mouths that is making the biggest difference to our weight. And so that's the first point. And this is why some of you might not like exactly what I've got to say. But let's talk that hormonal issue right now and the thyroid issue particularly. Because the thyroid issue is one that I hear all the time. They say, Baron, I've gained weight because of my thyroid. And I have to say to them, no, you haven't. And let me quote from the British Thyroid Foundation. They said this: most of the extra weight gained in hyperthyroid individuals is due to excess accumulation of salt and water. So it's not fat. Massive weight gain is rarely associated with hypothyroidism. In general, 5 to 10 pounds of body weight can be attributed to the thyroid, depending on the severity of the hypothyroidism. So 5 to 10 pounds, we're talking 2 to 4 kilos. So if you're 15 or 20 kilos overweight and you think it's because of hormonal issues, strike it off. It's not. It's not. It's because of what we're putting in our mouths. We have to be honest. We have to be honest. I wanted to write a book, but I was scared it was going to offend people. I wanted to write a book and say, and I've got to get this around the right way. You're not fat because you're sick. You're sick because you're fat. The vast majority of our health issues in this country and around the world are due to obesity, because we eat too much food, because we think, hey, well, I like that food, so I should eat it. Well, you can eat it and that's cool, but there's an impact. There's always an impact. One of my good friends said to me once, he's like, Baron, I want to lose weight, I really, really do, but I just like the taste of chocolate more. And that's the reality. If you like the taste of chocolate more than being healthy and fit, that's cool. That's your bag. Go and go for it. But you don't get to complain and whine about it afterwards. So that's my thoughts and that's my view on it. So, and put it in perspective, right? Remember how I mentioned about the energy that we need every day? I'm going to go into lots of detail on future podcasts about it. But our body needs a certain amount of energy. If you eat one big McDonald's meal for the day, you are consuming more energy than your body needs for the whole day. That's the cold, hard truth. And that is why 70% of Australians are overweight. We've got to get honest and we've got to get consistent and make changes. So that's the first one, was the hormones. Hormones are not it. That's not why you're gaining weight. Another one that I've heard a fair bit is, oh, Baron, I think I'm not eating enough calories. I had one lady on the phone. Like I said, I've done thousands and thousands of consultation calls for like an hour each go with people, talking to them about their weight challenges. And had this one lady, she was 180 kilos on the phone. It takes some courage to make a phone call when you're that weight, because most people are quite embarrassed about that. But it was really interesting. She had convinced herself that she was overweight for a variety of different reasons. And most people are not honest with me initially, let me tell you that right now, and she was not honest with me. She was 180 kilos and she said to me, Baron, I think I'm not eating enough calories. And I'm like, that is not it. She went on to say that I only eat one meal a day. And I'm like, that is, in my head, I'm like, that is a blatant lie. That's just not true. There's no way, because to get to 180 kilos, you've got to be eating 4, 5, 6,000 calories a day. That's a significant effort. Now, I'm not saying she wants to be that way, but that's a significant effort to get to that level. And so she tried to convince herself that that was true. She also said one other thing which drove me a little bit crazy. She said, I think it's because I eat late at night. I have that 1 meal that's late at night. That's another one I want to talk about in a second. But the reality is this, not eating enough calories is not it. It's eating too many calories is the only reason that you can get to 180 kilos. But nobody wants to tell you the truth, right? Because if they tell you the truth, you're going to get offended. And so everyone tries to skirt around the issue. And doctors do it too. And they say, you need this drug or you need that drug or, because that's what's going to fix you. The reality is food did it and food will take it off if you want it to be sustainable and long-term. So it's never because you haven't eaten enough calories. Don't get sucked into that nonsense. That's absolutely not the case. The other one is because we eat late at night. Now, yes, you can make a very small difference to your weight by not eating late at night, but it's the wrong foods and the right foods that make the biggest difference. And when I say a small difference, I'm talking a tiny microscopic difference. If you eat at 9 o'clock at night versus eating at 6 o'clock at night, it's really of not much relevance at all. It's the type of food that you're choosing to eat that's really going to make the most difference. So making changes to your food as opposed to the times that you eat is going to make a significant amount more difference. That's not the reason that you're overweight. It's not because you eat late at night. The other one is because of your age. Yeah, this is one of my favorites, right? Because everyone wants to make the excuse that it's because I'm older that I've gained weight. Well, that's not true. There's elements that are true, that elements that are not. Let me explain. So we still only gain weight because of the food that we choose to put in our mouths. The reason that people gain weight as they get older is because the way your body, or the amount of energy that your body needs as you get older reduces. You're less active, so therefore you require less energy. You have less muscle content, so therefore your body requires less fuel to service those muscles. So your requirement for energy gets lower, but if we continue to eat the same stuff, it doesn't equate because our body needs less fuel. And we're giving it the same amount of fuel and the gap just gets bigger. So you will gain weight if you are not conscious of the amount of food that you're putting into your mouth. But the reason that you can't lose weight is not anything to do with your age at all. I've had women that I've worked with, the oldest one was 86 years old, she lost a bunch of weight. I've frequently worked with women who are in their 60s and 70s and they lose bucket loads of weight as fast as people in their 30s and 20s. So age is not relevant, right? Now, there are some studies that indicate that when you do gain weight as you go through menopause or as you get older, you might carry that weight in a different place. But the hormones might make you want to eat more crap food, but the hormones that make you gain fat, right? That's a really important distinction. But that fat, when the fat does come on, it's likely to be a bit more around your midsection area. All right, the other one I hear is genetics. So it's just in my genetics, in my genes. Now, I want to be really clear, there are different body types. Yes, 100%. Some people will put weight on faster than others, and others will put weight on slower than other people. So what? You've got to work with the body that you've got. Actually talking about it is the greatest waste of time on earth because you talk about it all day. It's not going to change anything. And also I hear all the time that it's my genetics, it's my makeup, I'm big boned, whatever it is, it's my genetics. But then I see that person eating a family dinner box. It's just, it is always what we put in our mouths as the main port of call, right? So if you want to make an impact to your weight, it is all about changing what you put in your mouth. Because if you don't change what you put in your mouth, you're never, ever, ever going to get there. Let me go back to one that I failed to mention. Remember a lady, when we're talking about menopause or thyroid or hormonal issues in any way, shape or form. I remember talking to this awesome lady in the States, her name's Tamara, she's a ripper, and she said to me, Baron, I've got to go see my endocrinologist and this is a challenge and I've got all these hormonal issues. And she went on and on and on and spoke and spoke and spoke. And I stopped her at one point. I let her finish talking for a while and then I said, hey, that's all a load of crap. And it went quiet on the phone. And I said, that's not it. That's not it at all. You've got to eat the right foods. Let's go through your food. What are you eating? What's your activity like? How are you moving? All that sort of stuff. And so we did that and she let me know, she's like, 3 or 4 weeks later, she'd lost a bunch of weight. She made heaps of good changes. And she said to me, Baron, I cancelled my appointment to see my endocrinologist because I didn't need to anymore. because when you start eating the right foods, your body does what it needs to do. So much of what's happening in our bodies, be it good or be it bad, is 100% determined by what we put into our mouths. If we want to have good medicine, we've got to put good food into our mouths and good drink. Alcohol is a whole nother discussion. Soft drink is another discussion, right? But if you want your body to operate well, then we've got to put good fuel into it, right? And we've also got to move away from the fact of, I'm going to go for this period of time and eat a load of crap. And then this period of time, I'm going to eat amazing. And then this period, and you have that yo-yo cycle over and over and over again. So for me, it's understanding why you gained weight. Number one, it's because of what you've put in your mouth. For me, if I gain weight, it's because of what I've put in my mouth. That is it. And when you take responsibility for that and you own it, then you're in control and you can make the change. So this is what we need to remember. All these other reasons that people want to tell you to make you feel better about yourself, doesn't matter. It's you. But that's great, because then you have the ability to actually make the change and continue to move forward. So I want you to think, as you go away from this podcast, why have you really gained weight? Like I said, we'll go through way more detail about how much energy we need and how that works out and what happens and different types of foods over the next series of podcasts. These podcasts are going to come every day. See, I just put myself on the hook. They're going to come every day for a while. And that's going to help you to get lots of this knowledge in sort of as we go. But today, I want you to go away and I want you to think about what you are eating. What are you eating right now? And be really, really honest. I remember one guy I had who I worked with, he was a ripper because he came in, he was 160 kilos, and he came in and he was actually honest right from the get-go about what he was eating. And so he would say something like this: "Oh, Baron, I get up in the morning, I go straight off to work as a tradie, I go straight off to work and I'll hit the servo on the way. I hit the servo, I'll have a pie, I'll have a couple of mothers, I'll have..." Every day he would eat a whole bag of snakes, and he would eat a whole block of chocolate every day. Every day, a whole bag of snakes and a whole block of chocolate. In addition to stopping at the servo, having KFC, whatever all the other things are as the day went along. So what happens a lot is people don't tell the truth. He was telling the truth. But what happens a lot is people don't tell the truth. So I want you to go away and tell the truth to yourself. There's no one else to talk to. It's just you. So write it down, maybe, the things that you've been eating, and be really, really honest. When I ask people what they eat on those calls that I do, most people like to say to me, "Oh, I don't know why I'm overweight, Baron. I eat yogurt for breakfast, grilled chicken for lunch, and steamed veggies for dinner." And I'm like, I'm sure you eat those things, but I'm sure you eat more than those things. So here's your moment by yourself, with your partner, with your family. Take stock. If you're 10, 15, 20 kilos overweight, what changes can you start to make, and start to be honest about what you're actually putting in your mouth? Start jotting those things down and keep that over the next few weeks. I'm going to go through a lot of those foods that you would have written down and why they're good and why they're not so good, and what's maybe really stopping you from losing all the weight that you want to lose. You don't need any pills, potions, anything revolutionary. You've got to change your food, because that is a sustainable change. It's changing your food and moving. And my last point to finish off today is, if you want to feel like a healthy person, if you want to look like a healthy person, you want to smell like, taste like, everything like a healthy person, then you've got to do what healthy people do. And I'm not talking about skinny fat people who eat garbage and wear their fat on the inside around their organs. I'm talking about making choices like healthy people. It's not to say you can never have a chocolate again, but if you're overweight right now, you can't have it as much as you have been, or any of those types of foods that we'll talk about later on. But you've got to live like a healthy person for the rest of your life. And it's about making a total mindset shift, that you decide to be in that 30% of Australians who are a healthy weight, as opposed to being in this almost 70% of Australians that are not a healthy weight. It's your choice to make, but you've got to make good choices every day. You can absolutely do it. And it's super, super simple. And over the next few podcasts, we're going to really break it down in more detail. I'm excited for you to come on this journey with me. You can get to where you want to be 100%, but you've got to make some good decisions. So go away and write down the stuff that you have been eating, and let's get some honesty going to make sure that you can start looking at it and make some changes moving forward. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. See you later.